What's up, everybody? Boy Nick Portella, MMA.com. I'm here in New Brunswick, New Jersey, the local Starbucks, catching up with Cutman extraordinaire, Paul Querido, a.k.a. Cutman Q. What's up, Paul?
How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming out, taking some time to sit with me. I know you're the busiest guy on the face of the earth. So I kind of wanted to jump right into it. I've read up about you and stuff. I know late 80s you began training martial arts.
Correct.
And it even, in a short time, excelled to the point where you became an instructor and, that's what you wanted to do. Your family uprooted, you decided to stay.
Yeah.
Chasing the dream. So after all that, how did you get your first experience actually working the corners from fighting?
Throughout my training in the, in the 80s and the 90s, I suffered several concussions. Some of them very debilitating, and I actually still suffer from post-concussion syndrome at times.
Right.
So, because of these injuries, I was never able to train at the level necessary to go into the cage or into the ring.
Right.
I've always been fascinated and intrigued by it and, really valued, but I wanted to understand more. So since I couldn't do it myself, I figured the next best thing was to be around the people who were training people.
Right.
Be cage side, listen to the coaches. What were some coaches saying to the fighters? How were they reacting? What were they saying? What were they doing pre-fight? And once I got a taste of coaching cage side and listening, I said, hey, you know what? This is what I want to do.
Right.
So some of my students would, go and compete at the local boxing shows or some of the smokers, and I was responsible for their well-being. I was responsible for keeping their heads straight and making sure they were prepared and giving them the advice and suggestions to go out there and win.
Right.
And that was really my first taste in being being in the corner, and I loved it, and I absolutely loved it.
So you train? Do you still train now?
I do.
You do. So after you got your first taste, when about did you decide to make the full transition? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the corner guy. I'm going to keep my guys in the fight. And now you keep half of the MMA world in the fight. But when did that transition really happen?
I want to say about 4 years ago.
Right.
I want to say about 4 years ago. I was just listening and I was just trying to absorb as much information as I could.
Right.
Perfect example, I would watch fights on pay-per-view or TV. And I paid more attention to what the coaches were saying in between rounds
than the actual fights
than the
taking
actual
place.
fights going on. I remember watching Greg Jackson and he would have the nickname Yoda. And I was like, why? And after watching him,
he's the man.
he's just, yeah. But the way he approached himself, and he kept himself with the fighters, and his whole connection with them, I was like, wow.
Right.
That was amazing. And then I started watching, what happens, the Cutman, what are they doing, in between rounds? That's a bloody nose, that's a laceration. What are they doing here? And that just piqued my interest because it was all new to me. And I said, you know what, I need to get out there. This is cool shit.
Now, a little out of the timeline, I know I had talked to you before that you were only supposed to wrap a couple guys at the last Ring of Combat show in the Tropica and ended up wrapping like the fight card.
I think I ended up wrapping 11 or 12 guys, yes.
And you were only supposed to do like 2 or 3.
Exactly.
So I know at one point you were helping Frankie Perez. What's up, Frankie? Dead Serious MMA matchmake for the Ring of Combat show. How supportive was he when you made the full transition? When it's like, hey, I won't have the time to matchmake. Now I'm doing the corners.
Frankie was unbelievably supportive. He understood that basically my passion, was being in the corner. And not just for, specific fighters, not just for the people I was there with, but he really understood that I had a passion for being out there for everyone. That I remained neutral. That I wasn't, playing favorites. One camp versus another camp.
And that's what makes you good, though. I mean, listen, I'll treat your guy the same as I treat that guy, as I treat that guy.
Absolutely.
But that's what you have to do.
Yes.
So I guess that just led into you being his I mean, you're his lead cut man, you're his head cut man. I mean,
Yes.
was that almost instantly as soon as you had the experience and the time? And
I don't even really know how it happened.
it just happened. I woke up, I was the head cut man. I don't know.
Exactly. You know, he was one of the biggest supporters. You know, when I did make the transition into Bellator.
Right.
You know, and I started traveling with some of the other organizations and getting involved in with their programs.
Right.
You know, and it's just a friendship based upon mutual respect.
And Frankie's definitely a good dude to deal with. So you're his head cut man. You're the head cut man for CFFC.
Correct.
How did they, you know, they saw your work and they were like, we're picking him up, or how does that even? You're the head of like, yeah, you're just everywhere. So how does it even happen? I don't know how you have enough time in your
Well,
day.
I had some experience, you know, being around the CFFC, and again, I realized that they didn't have a lead cut man. They didn't have any cut man. They didn't have anybody wrapping hands. You know, it was really up to the coaches and the corners to be able to take care of their fighters.
To play all the roles.
To play all the roles. So I just called up Arias and I said, listen, you know, you guys, you know, don't have a cut man. You need somebody, you know. And we talked for a little bit and said, yeah, come on down. So we did a few trial shows. I guess the fighters were happy. I guess the staff was happy. And
Perfect timing for the ambulance.
Perfect,
It
exactly.
couldn't be any better.
And they just kept inviting me back, and to the point where, you know, my hard work and my commitment, my dedication
Got you there.
got me there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got CFFC, you got Ring of Combat, you got Maverick MMA, you
Correct.
got Bellator. What other show? And I've seen you at those shows physically. What other shows do you end up at that bring you into?
I've done work for the World Series of Fighting,
Okay.
right, which is now the
Professional Fighters
Professional
League,
Fight League,
which is kind of cool. Whole different topic.
Very
but-
cool. We were just there in about a month ago.
DC, right?
In DC.
November 4th.
Yeah, November 4th. And that was an awesome show. That was a weird event because it was done at a black tie charity event,
Right.
in a big huge ballroom.
Did you black tie it up beforehand?
No,
I
no.
don't think you can. It's
No,
not possible.
I stayed in my regular black
Good.
jacket and my black pants.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So you travel, and I've said this a million times. Your social media could rival that of like somebody selling vacations. I mean, you've been all over the world. Like you're just everywhere. Do you have a favorite place that you like to visit when you're working? I always thought, for me, my guess on you was you like to keep it home base. I thought New Jersey would be your favorite place, but who knows?
I love Southern California.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the spot.
Yeah,
and that's where you could have moved. Had you moved, you wouldn't be here right now.
Well,
anyway.
actually, it would have been moved. My parents moved to Sacramento, which would have been much northern California.
Still California.
Still California.
Still California.
But you know, we've been to Fresno a bunch of times. We've been up there, and it is beautiful. But you always hear about Los Angeles and, you know, the people and the water and the
Right.
mountains. And out of all the places I've been in the country, I really want to say that, you know, California, Los Angeles, Pachanga, California, all those places are really some of my
The
favorites.
show comes up, you're like, yep, I'm working this one. So the infamous question that probably gets beat to death. You've seen virtually a bazillion injuries. You know, some minor, some not. What would you think is the worst injury that you've seen?
The worst injury, hands down, it happened almost 3 years ago.
Okay.
It was February 2015 in Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
Matt Bassett versus
Mangler.
the
All right.
Mangler.
Yeah.
I met Matt through the Bellator circuit, and
Right.
we had developed a trust and a bond where he was requesting my services to wrap his hands prior to every fight. He was fighting Josh LaBarge.
Okay.
The last name Labarge, something like that. First round was back and forth. It was a really interesting fight. Towards the end of the second, so the first round is good. In the beginning of the second round, Matt delivers a power prone kick that comes underneath Josh's chin.
Okay.
And at first you're like, how is this guy still standing?
Like you should be out now.
He should be out. I'm just amazed. There's no sign of distress, there's no trauma, there's no blood. So I'm like, okay. So the fight moves on, it continues on the second round. Towards the end of the second round, Josh gets a laceration above his left eye.
Okay.
So I've got my stuff. First man in the cage, I get right to him. All right, I get my cold towel on the injury. I'm taking out my swabs, and he starts saying, "My tongue, my tongue." I'm like, "Let me get your mouthpiece out so I can understand you." Nick, he opens his mouth. I try to get the mouthpiece out, and he had lacerated between 75 to 80% of his tongue.
It was like hanging off.
Yes.
That's not good.
Alright. So immediately, I got the clean towel. I put it right on his tongue to get the pressure.
Right.
I walked him right back to the cage, and I knew that there was no way he was going to be able to continue. Exactly. So I called for the ringside doctors. You know, I kept the pressure. I needed to stay calm because if I get nervous, if I panic, then
Well, they panic.
exactly, and it's only going to make it worse. So I was able to get the attention of the ringside doctor. He came up, you know, he kind of asked me what was the problem. I said he's got a laceration of the tongue. Doctor looked at me kind of like you are right
Yeah,
now.
like,
Didn't
how does that happen?
Opened his mouth, took the light, saw it,
Done.
waved it off.
Now, was it, I guess the front kick didn't do, or maybe it did?
It was the front
it
kick.
was?
What happened was, even through his mouthpiece, that front kick created so much upward trauma that even through his mouthpiece,
It
still
exploded.
It still exploded. He cut through 80% of his tongue.
Ugh, that's a horrible injury. And you know what? I work emergency medicine in the ambulance.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen that. And I've been doing it for 15 years. I've never seen that. That's a new one. So, again, I know you don't play favorites, but do you have, I guess everybody would. Who is, do you have a fighter that you enjoy working with more so?
I don't have a favorite fighter because I was always brought up where you treat, you know, the guy that sweeps the floors and changes the garbages the same way as the president and the CEO and the
Well,
CFO.
every moving part makes it run. Without that guy, you can't do what you do. Without you, they can't fight.
Exactly. So I honestly treat the people coming in and fighting for the first time and the second time like I would if I were rapping the lightweight champion, you know, or the heavyweight champion. So I don't really have a favorite. There are definitely some memorable people,
Right.
that I've gotten a chance to work with. Kimbo Slice, when Kimbo Slice, rest in peace, big man. When he made his first fight with Bellator, I was able to have the opportunity to wrap his hands,
Right.
and just sitting down and just talking to him as a person.
Right.
It was amazing.
I've heard that. I mean, image is everything in the fight game. You got like, the Diaz's that do the whole, the badass stopping thing. But when you actually meet them,
They're great guys.
they're great guys.
Yeah.
I assume Kimbo was the same way.
Absolutely. Very professional.
Like the big
very,
burly guy, nicest guy in the
very
world.
respectful. Here I am telling you, Kimbo Slice to open and turn. And how does that feel? We're just going back and forth, and we're talking about, hand injuries, and how was his training camp, and does he have any bruising on his knuckles? Is there any extra special attention that he needs? So it was actually the beginning of a great relationship.
Right.
And then coming into his last fight with Dada,
Yeah.
he actually requested me to come back and wrap his hands.
You're like, I made it.
Again.
Yes.
And honestly, Nick, that really is the biggest compliment that I feel that
Absolutely.
that
It's
we
better
can
than the
have.
pay. It's better when someone requests. There's how many Cutman are there?
Right.
Thousands.
Exactly.
And they're like, I want that guy.
Exactly. And that is the respect and the trust that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, a little
and that I'm
novelty. Have you had the opportunity since his son now fights in Bellator?
I
Baby
have
Slice.
great guy. Haven't had a chance to wrap his hands yet.
It's gonna happen.
I mean, if it happens, great. But he's definitely a great guy. Very humble, very down to earth, great personality.
Right.
Again, he's the type of guy that will shake your hand. He'll stop for a photograph. In fact, almost all the fighters that I meet and I
Yeah,
travel
they're
and
usually
I work
good people. They're not like any other athletes.
No.
I mean, if you go to, I'm an Eagles fan, and if you go to the stadium, you're just not going to walk up to Carson Wentz and be like, "Hey, let me get a photo." These fighters, and you've seen it at the shows you've been, they fight and then they come out into the crowd. They want to, they want to interact with their fans. So for you, I know you got and that's why I'd asked you before. I know there's 2 shows December 9th, and they would probably be happy to grapple for your services. But you'll be at the a.k.a. America?
Correct.
For the Ring of Combat card.
Exactly. Originally, when I was doing my schedule, Maverick MMA was supposed to be on December 2nd.
They switched the date because they switched venue.
Exactly. So I had already committed to Frankie Perez and the Ring of Combat for December 9th.
It's okay, Willie Siska. I'll still be there, brother.
I'll be back.
He'll be back. He loves it. So outside of the December shows, what else you got on the horizon? I know you've recently been at shows. What's your schedule look like?
I actually leave on Thursday for Thackerville, Oklahoma.
Okay.
I got the
Bellator card.
The Bellator card this weekend. Then I have a.k.a. America with the Ring of Combat the following
December
weekend.
9th.
Right, and then I end off the year December 16th with the CFFC down Atlantic City.
I'm going to see this guy there, I have no doubt. So one other thing I did see about you I think is awesome is in 2015, you were inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Don't worry, I'll attach the video of his speech. I'll attach it. So what was that like? I mean, it's your hometown, and again, going back, you found what you wanted to do, you parted from your family to do it. You know, life threw you a little bit of a curveball. Now you're here, and you've done all these things, and the whole state is giving you the thumbs up. What's that like?
It really is surreal, you know, and it is humbling. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not something that I bring up. It's not something I talk about. You know, if I were filling out a resume, I would never put it down. Just
Hall of Fame.
just. Yeah, I'm me, you know.
Right.
I'm hands-on.
But in the back of your mind, you got to be like, this is pretty awesome.
It is. And
I won't even make the Hamilton Township Hall of Fame, okay? So you made the whole state.
And it is nice to be recognized, you know, for the work, for the years, you know, putting into it.
Yeah. Well, and your reward is your social media is like a travel agent. You go more places in a year than most people go in a decade, honestly. One other fun fact, keep checking out the website. Paul is going to have Cutman Q's Corner. We're going to try something new. Maybe one week we'll talk MMA. Another week we'll talk corner strategies. He'll do some tips on wrapping hands. I know every corner man has their own niche. Maybe he'll let us in on some of
my secrets,
some of his top secret information. Also, don't forget to follow Paul on social media for your MMA and travel needs at Cutman Q. Paul, if you have any thank yous, anybody you'd like to shout out?
I would definitely like to thank my partner in crime. You know, without, you know, her support and pushing me and help, you know, with the media and with the contacts, you know, without Lee, you know, I don't know where I would be. You know?
I'd be afraid to get in a cage with Lee. I've spoken to her. She's awesome. She's very good.
Yeah. I would like to thank, you know, the CFFC. I'd like to thank Frankie Perez. I'd like to thank all of them, you know, for giving me the opportunity and believing me, you know, and entrusting me with their fighters and their organization.
Well, I would trust them if I was getting my face punched in. I just want to give a quick thank you to Henry Roldan Photography, Chad Elliott over at Fear the Fighter, and my biggest thank you to Paul. Yeah. Cutman Q.
I'd definitely like to thank out some of my sponsors, War Tape. Without the endless supply of War Tape, you know, I would be facing a national deficit in tape.
Yeah.
You know, with these
surgeon
guys.
without his tools.
Exactly. So I'd like to thank War Tape, Defense Soap. You know, with all the people that I deal with on the cage side, and sometimes, you know, the contact of blood, the Defense Soap, I don't have to worry about it. You know, it keeps
covers
me clean,
everything.
Covers
Take
everything.
care of everything.
In between rounds, if I just need, you know, to wipe down, definitely after fights, and I can't get right to a shower, Defense Soap is definitely the product to
rub it out.
Yeah, to keep me clean.
And again, stay tuned. We're going to see a lot more of Paul on the site. He's
Just
the guy.
the beginning.
He's very personable. We're just getting started. At the end of this, I'll attach his speech from the New Jersey Hall of Fame, even though he's not going to want me to. And stay tuned. We're out at PortelloMA.com.
From stopping cuts So nosebleeds, contusions, trust me, those 60 seconds, they go by quick. Here are my 60 seconds. First of all, this is all Nick's fault. It really is. All I wanted to do was be an inspector for all the major MMA events in New Jersey. That's all I wanted. So Nick, thank you for not hiring me. And allowing me to find the passion in my life. Thank you to both Frankie and Lourdes Perez. Frankie, thank you. Because it was you who, when I first got my big opportunity, sponsored me without question, without fail. You honestly made me feel like a little kid on Christmas morning. I will never forget. Thank you for recognizing all the fighters, the promoters, the inspectors, right, and referees, and the fans of New Jersey. Lourdes and Frankie, thank you. Being a Bellator Cutman has allowed me to travel the country and be with some of the best fighters, the best coaches, and the operation staffs out there. I thank them for allowing me to be part of the Bellator Nation. Now, as I hear the ref say, seconds out, I know my 60 seconds are over. I just want to say thank you for everyone, for your support, for your kind words, and Cutman Q is not just one man. We're not a team, we're not a family. Cutman Q is one.